And you are live.
Oh, hey, all right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Live. I forget what episode this is. This is, what, 18, 20?
Somewhere up there.
And I'll know better than to call you a guest. This is definitely a call.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, SD. Holy smokes, I'm honored, man.
It's Tenth. How you doing, man? Introduce yourself.
I'm good. Welcome, everybody. Happy to be on the show with you guys tonight. Got some pretty good stuff in store. Before we get there, FC, how was your week, man? What you been up to?
Well, I put a PC together. It was I didn't get the CPU I wanted. I got a 5900X, but I got a 3700X instead because it was available. Yep. And today, a wild rooster from the Star Citizen community in Boston helped me put it to New England, helped me put it together on Monday. So I've been trying to tweak it and get everything steady and stuff. So with my old PC, I decided to put them both on my desk. But the new case is a little bit wider than my previous old PC, so it was hanging off the edge a little bit, just a little bit,
slightly, yeah,
slightly. So, but I got a new monitor too. So I have a dual monitor set up now. I'm looking at the second monitor now, and I tried to move my primary monitor more to the center. Doing so, I pushed my new PC off the desk.
Oh, FC, the heartbreak. Oh,
I know. No. And you know what? I am proud of myself for not cursing and swearing and carrying it on when that happened. Because, it was like, because it happened in a flash. I saw it falling, and there was nothing I could do about it. There's no way my reflexes could catch it or nothing. So, yeah, I pick it back up. The video card, the graphics card, the back plate for the graphics card is bent, but just the part that goes into the case itself. So yeah. I'm hoping it'll still work, but I haven't had the heart to try to put it back together and see what's broken or not.
Oh my gosh, FC! It was supposed to be good things I hear from your week, not things like this. No one wants to hear about that. That's bad.
Well, the good news is I did try to play Star Citizen that Tuesday. That was the first thing I installed, obviously. And I spawned a new Babbage, and wouldn't you know it, I got out of bed and went to the elevator. There was an invisible wall at the elevator. I couldn't get past.
This has been kind of a rough week, FC. It's been kind of a rough week.
Well, it's not even Friday the 13th,
I know.
Hello? Hey, Griff, I can't hear you myself through you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying I'm just letting them get past the opening, and then I'll bring you in, okay?
Yeah.
All right, give me a hot sec.
Do we got our sound back? Are we good?
I'm back, guys. Sorry, I was trying to talk to Fist in the green room there.
Okay.
What did you want? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
I didn't know what the last thing they said. I'll talk about the 1,000 followers on March 7th.
Oh, okay. Stand by. Go ahead.
And we're giving away a Endeavor, a base class, not the master class, or the Benny Misterman.
Yep. That's gonna be a good one. You got to reach that 1,000. That's gonna be. We got to do it. I think we can do it, FC. Only what 100 or 200?
200.
Yeah,
like 200.
Yeah. 188 to go.
188.
Yeah. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so.
And did you tell them that all of us are going to be there? Did you? I mean, you got to plug this. No. You got to plug it.
Well, the thing is, I was plugging the heck out of it until you jumped out and I had to jump back in.
Okay, my fault. My bad.
No, but you're right. All of us in Star Citizen, all the hosts should be in on March 7th. So I don't know if anyone's not going to be there, but it'll be a full house, so it'll be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be there. FC is going to be there. Hopefully with this PC pristine, everything's taken care of. FC. Let's cross our fingers on it. Yeah. That's good.
That's the March 7th, right, normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's it. Big time.
Mm-hmm. And you have a guest with you, if someone has entered the room with you.
Oh, what's up, Fist?
Hey, how you doing today? Tonight? Excuse me.
Yep, tonight. We're doing well, man. How are you? How's your week?
Hanging in there. Week was okay. Nothing.
You didn't drop any computers, did you?
No. My computer stays on the floor.
Good.
And we have one additional guest as well.
Lucky, what's going on, man?
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going great. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, hanging in there. How's your week?
It's been rather dreary and slow, but other than that, good.
Hey, I had 30 seconds of intense excitement for a bit there today, so.
Oh, man. Welcome, boys. Thanks for joining us. Welcome, everybody who's just coming in to the chat. We are in our Friday night live episode at FC. I think you called it 1819, but we're here and we're having a lot of fun. I think we want to roll into an IFC. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
I think we want to roll into that.
Episode 22.
Episode 22. Great. Yeah, we want to roll into some ISC this week. And I believe the ISC this week was on the gun, off the trolley. I got that right? Is that right?
That is correct. And you have another guest that's joined you.
Yeah. Let's
you have another guest. You have another guest.
Another guest in the room? Holy smokes, we had who is this? Go Mab. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I ain't nobody. You ain't gotta introduce me, man. Just keep talking.
And he's here, ladies and gentlemen.
You're in the room, man. Look, you came in. How's it going? How's your week?
He's not just in the room, he's in the room where it happens. Go ahead.
He's in the room where it happens.
I just be hanging out in the back, man. Don't worry about me. I'm just chilling. Good week.
Good week. That's what I want to hear, man. No drop computers or anything like that. FC, I'm coming at you for that, man.
No problem. Hey, I deserve it. Yeah.
Cool.
So let's get started with ISC.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to announce this for quite some time now. Active Feature Team is breaking out into vehicles. I'm aware that sounds a little odd. Give me a sec to explain. So Active Feature Team traditionally has numerous irons in the fire, some very large, some small. That said, all of them add to the wider canvas. Having the PU as a live game gives us a unique opportunity for not just the development of an MMO. The PU is all games combined, effectively. The PU gives us something unique in that we can reach out and ask people to test our features. Getting that feedback early on allows us to iterate, so it's great all round for all the games we're making. So one of the features we're working on right now is Mounted Gun. First glance, the feature may seem somewhat familiar in that we have a Gatling gun on the side of the Valkyrie already. The issue with the current implementation of that is that it's leveraging the ship turret system. This new feature changes that up. We've implemented it in a way that's both sort of physically accurate, but also gives a much better player experience in terms of the mounted gun. So there are two modes with the mounted gun. There's what you'd consider the ready state, where you're just holding the grip, as if you had a weapon in a stocked mode. We didn't want to give the impression or the feel of the gun being bolted to the front of the camera, so there's a definite sense of weight and a slight delay in the direction that your gun points to with your character catching up. In addition to that, though, we have ADS mode, which you'll be familiar with just FPS shooters in general and Star Citizen with FPS weapons. That gives more finer control, and obviously you're zoomed in, you're looking down the barrel of the weapon. So the first iteration, we're bringing you a Gatling gun. That's going to be the only weapon available. Just going to be in sort of ad hoc locations for you guys to give it a try and see what you think and give us feedback. not just going to be Gatling guns. The intention is to provide a wide range of weapons. So you're aware of how many weapons we have on our ships. Imagine that on a mounted gun. But moving forward, there's other iterations of the feature we want to make. Possibility of the locations, especially in Squadron and in Theatres of War, you're going to see them cropping up all over the place. So the sky's the limit in terms of the feature, I think. Another feature we're working on, and in fact we've worked on this feature for a little while now, is force reactions. And in this iteration, we're introducing staggers. Stagger really introduces just an extra layer into the combat experience. It's not something that's as disruptive as being knocked down, but it is something noticeable and visceral when you're shot, say, from a 50 cal pistol or a bearing shotgun. You're going to notice it and feel it. The intent has been to just flesh out the whole force reactions feature. We've now got a complete range of severities from being hit from shotguns, pistols, sniper rifles, etc. On top of that, ships make use of this, so it's no longer a case of a slight flinch or a fall in your arse. You can now stagger as a result of your buddy pilot ramming into the nearest station whilst taking off. Again, as mentioned, our feature team is breaking out into vehicles, and I can excitingly announce that our first vehicle will be a cargo trolley.
Finally. Holy smokes, guys.
Got wheels.
Star Citizen is many things. I didn't think we'd get to the point where it's Jackass in space, but now we have opportunities. so the feature we're working on is trolley push-pull. Believe me, it does actually afford us quite a few things for the game. For one, it allows us to do cool things like pile corpses onto trolleys and push them around. Who doesn't want to do that? I know, Jared, I'm sorry that there's not the ability to jump up on the back and ride it down a hill. Not in this version, at least, anyway. There is, however, the potential for races. If you and a friend want to push each other around, I can see a new bracket in the Daymar Rally. As a feature, it's been really interesting because we've taken the approach of making it physically accurate. You have little coaster wheels that spin and rotate based on how you're pushing it. If you've ever pushed a trolley cart around a supermarket, you'll know how that goes.
No crashing.
But it also expands our toolbox for level designers. Imagine any FPS or third-person game without some sort of push block you can push around and climb on top of. Not for 3.13, but moving forward, the intent is to make use of them in various delivery missions and whatnot. And then beyond that, we'll see NPCs and players using them to sort of push cargo around. At a later date, that's going to be a key component in terms of your day-to-day life as moving things around with your ship. So that's three of the features that our feature team are working on, coming to you soon in 3.13. It's gratifying to know that you're working on features that are not just for one game, but for also Squadron 42, Theatres of War, and the PU. And obviously, once you guys have had a chance to give feedback, it does open up far more possibilities for people putting videos on Reddit, which is obviously one of the reasons I'm making this game.
All right, so that was pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Let's start with Lucky.
I like the idea of being able to truck some cargo around by hand, multiple small hand boxes at a time. But I don't like the idea that we're 900 years in the future and they have trolley wheels on the bottom. I've been to some of the rest, not the rest areas, but the rescue centers or whatever on some of the moons, and you can actually see, I guess they're older models, but they're gravity, they're anti-gravity, or whatever, they levitate. And I was looking more forward to something that's similar to that, because you're going to go over bumps and stuff, and I can foresee problems, going on at that point.
Well, yeah. I mean, wheels are cheaper than anti-gravs, that even 900 years in the future, I think. It's a cost-cutting method. I
would see both of them wearing out, eventually. Like, if you have anti-grav, you'll have batteries, but where you have wheels, you have ball bearings and stuff. So, I mean, there's a trade-off for either way, but it is what it is. Sure. It's the first iteration, so, I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
Sorry, go ahead. How about you? Go, Mav. How about you?
I'm going to echo what Lucky said. I mean, it's like, come on, man. These wheels, man. What are you doing? Like, I'm sorry. It's next week it's going to be like, now they've come out with a way that you got to charge your Moby glass. I'm just sorry. I'm like, come on.
The hand crank Moby glass that you got to charge it.
Charging your Moby glass. Holy smokes, guys! It's like if you have an Apple Watch or some kind of other fitness device that we use now. We charge that thing like every day. You know, could you imagine doing it with your Moby glass out in an adventure? Like, if you're exploration and that's your thing, like, no way. You know, so I'm totally down with it, man. Like, there has to be more sustainable tech that can really fit the Star Citizen universe. I'm not down with the coaster wheels, right? We got to think outside the box a little bit, right? I do like the gravity tech that they could use on those things, and it would be cool to see like another concept with that. But I think right now it's just like, let's get something in the game that makes sense that players could begin using, and then maybe iterate on it. I don't know. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say one more thing on that. I swear, it seems like they try to do whatever's the hardest. Like they make their lives more difficult and take up more cycles of development to say, how are we going to do these wheels on this rough terrain? Somebody in the back's probably like, guys, why don't we just do maglev? And they fired them on the spot. I swear they just try to make it more
get out of here.
We ain't got time for that.
No, like you said, this is the first iteration, right? So I believe that what we saw was the great manufactured version of what that would look like. When we get to the origin version, it'll be more to your guys' liking.
Oh, listen, let me tell you about what the origin version looks like, guys. The origin version of this trolley is unlike anything you've ever seen, right? It has touch. It drives itself.
Yeah.
Like it has to. There's no wheels. You key in where you want. You key in what you want it to do, where you want it to go.
Why did I do
it takes
that?
it directly there. Listen, there's probably some devs that are hearing me, and listen, just go ahead, take the idea, use it as your own, put it in my 600i as a token of your appreciation for my brilliance.
Then let's just. The origin version is me paying them to carry my stuff.
How about that, Phil?
To push my cart.
Do you agree with any of that, Fist?
To push my cart.
Do I agree with I mean, I do agree. I mean, yes, I would like to
George
see,
Jefferson.
I would like. Hey,
Yo,
Kimmy,
welcome.
Hey, what's up? I would like to see definitely something more futuristic because rolling your wheels down, on a surface that has rocks and all of that stuff like that, especially now that they're introducing wear and tear and stuff like that,
That's a very good point.
It's going to be an issue. But my thing was that when I was watching this, my mind went to this. How is the mechanics going to work if you're at an armistice zone, right? What if a player comes up and takes a box off of your trolley? How do you defend that?
Yeah, during the loading process.
How do you defend that? That's my I'm always trying to think of how, because I try to think of how pirates
Trolls.
Exactly.
My thinking is that it'll be flagged as you owning it. So anyone who tries to take it will be flagged as a thief or something like that. It'd be like that. I want to say Groundhog Day when Bill Murray take the money off the truck with nobody looking. He timed it just perfectly. But I know I think in this case it'll probably be flagged as a stealing. That's my thinking.
Okay, so then would you think that they would be you would be able to at that point be able to defend your property like I guess you would it would automatically flag them.
Yeah. As soon as they get flagged, you can take them down or try to get it back or whatever. But you can't do it until they try to take possession of it or take possession of it.
Okay, because I'm always trying to think of how these pirates and trolls are gonna do.
Now the other thing is that doesn't prevent someone from coming up to your cart and looking into everything and not stealing anything, but just looking into it.
Take a look at what Admiral Kusanagi says in chat. That might be helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
The group plays. You're the one guy, and 4 people show up and tell you to walk away. You don't know how to protect your gear. Anyway, from UE space that is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take even if it is in UE space. It's not like the space cops are going to appear out of nowhere. I mean, they still got a chance to load up your stuff and get away. They'll just take a crime stat. But if they're doing that, they don't care about having a crime stat.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's always the thing. Is I'm just thinking about how can I protect, my investments.
That's a good point.
On these mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Hire people that you trust. Don't hire scrubs.
Let it be water. And you live in a desert area, and it's water.
There you go. Yeah,
it's a shootout. It started with a shootout.
So we had this Xeno threat, and we noticed there were multiple different types of boxes. We had one for time, one sensitive, or shake sensitive, vibration sensitive, whatever you want to call it, and one that was quantum sensitive. So what's to stop CIG from making one that's padlock or code sensitive or whatever?
Lucky, good thought.
Yeah,
I could see that. Like when you I don't know how difficult this mechanic would be to but if the boxes are locked to the lot in which you buy it, right? So let's say you're picking up whatever from whatever kind of cargo from a rest stop or wherever, that the sequence number is attached to that piece of cargo and you hold the key. So obviously it wouldn't be someone taking the box off of the cart, but really trying to take you out to get the key to the cargo, right? Which kind of brings it back to that whole group play aspect that we were kind of taking. I can see that.
Thanks for the host. Jazzy Noon.
Well, I mean, even Rust, in its earlier years had, keypads that you put on doors. I mean, and you could tell your friends or whomever, here's the code, here's how you get in, and it'd be unlocked from that point forward until the server reset or you left the server or whatever.
Yeah, I dig that.
And if we're talking about new tech, the actual card itself magnetically locks to the cargo when you set it down, so only you can unlock it through your Moby glass magnetically.
Yep.
Guys, I'm going to cut in very quickly for a public service announcement. Some of you all may have seen this earlier, but today is Kimmy 65's birthday. So
I thought you were saying Kimmy was 65 today. I'm like, whoa, you turned 65 today?
You heard me say pass the beer, man. I can drink now.
So everybody, make sure you all wish Kimmy a happy birthday on the birthday weekend.
Happy birthday!
Hey man, you guys make this brighter, man. You make the days brighter. Thank you, man. Thank you guys.
Oh man,
And great stream earlier today, man. Great stream.
Man.
You guys made it happen.
Kimmy, just because your birthday today, I won't ask you to put me on in the cart. I get Tim to do that for me, okay?
Damn, that was getting around to that, man. Come on, man. Even with Maglev's FC,
right?
Come on, man. Give me a break. You're rough, baby.
Well, the thing is, I'm not sure I can trust you, Kimmy, because you were the one crashing into everything, right? Crashing me into everything, make me fall off and everything. I trust Tim more than I trust you. How about that?
TBD, guys. Vector, baby.
So anything else?
Good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Fastcart. Go ahead.
No. I was going to go to the next part. But go ahead. You have something you want to share?
Because I was trying to. You mentioned something about being pushed around on the cart, right? And I saw in the video where they had the person on the cart with the gun. Now,
right.
I did see. I was watching Eradicator earlier. I think it was yesterday when ISC came out, and he mentioned something about a javelin mission It was just, theory crafting or something like that. He mentions because of I know this is something that'll come later on in the topic, because that was a part of the live stream as well. But I was just wondering if this the iteration of this becoming into the game, will this bring a mission? Because what's the purpose of bringing in the carts as well as bringing in the gun without them having a purpose?
Use for it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. I was interested in when I saw the player with the gun on the cart being pulled. I'm thinking, holy, like that's going to be something. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to try to figure out how to do that, but if you have a mission, or something that could facilitate the use of that, I think a lot of people would be interested. And it's testing, right, to see how the community is using the cart and the gun, and it's all, from what I've seen with CIG's development, there's little that's wasted. So there's always some kind of purpose behind what they put in normally, but I think this would be a good testing ground.
Yeah, so with that, I think we should move on. But before we go, I just want to say, how much is the origin server to put me to and from my ship after I spawn it on the card?
Listen, if you want to enter a contract with me, FC, we could talk about it. It's fine. Like,
we talk after the show.
Hey guys, real quick. One last thing, real quick on the cards. The fact that we're talking about, we're on the cusp of inventory items, the fact that we have a limit to what we can carry. So imagine this, we're on an exploration somewhere and we find these new exotic, unknown or rare items, and we have certain amount on our person. We are grabbing that cart. We're going to run. We're going to load those items up on that cart and bring them back.
Yep.
Outside of that, I'm good. Yeah. Cart can go away, but yes.
That I agree with you, and I would think too that there would need to be like a more rugged version, right? That cart looked like you could do station type.
It's a Drake version. It's a Drake version.
Right. So I can see one with like guard, some kind of guardrail or side to it. But yeah, this is a good start. I'll be happy to see it.
All right, so let's continue on.
Symbiotic nature of developing multiple games in simultaneous fashion means that testing for one is often testing for all. And through these new additions to Star Citizen, the same functionalities are also added to Theaters of War and Squadron 42. And if maybe shopping carts and mounted machine guns aren't your thing, note, ask Chris about shopping carts on mounted machine guns. We've got a sprint report for you full of environmental goodness. Let's take a look. Let's start things off by checking back in with the continuing development of ship-to-station docking, which, after passing its go, no-go last week, has now moved into the final art phase, where teams will begin working on things like the final levels of detail, signage, and overall polish in the month ahead. Now, while this certainly looks great already, it has been, as is usual with any brand new workflow, a bit of a setup challenge to get the animations working just the way we'd like. But solid progress is being made, and the team looks forward to finishing this out with proper lighting and the big bulkhead doors in the coming weeks. The Planet Content team recently completed a sprint on a new type of harvestable being added to surfaces in the upcoming Alpha 3.13. The Dagness Root is a microalgae that was first discovered in the shallow coastlines of Terra Prime. Now, although it is often used for cooking, Dagness can be most commonly found in medical products, thanks to its unique blend of nutrients. Astute followers of the public roadmap may have noticed the continuing polish of planets and moons in the Stanton system over the last several patches, and work continues with this look at recent efforts on Lyria, where the team never quite felt it hit the internal benchmark they were looking for, but with updates to both the materials and asset packs is now closer than ever before. They're also working on a return to the corals found around the oceans of Hurston that uses new scan data and includes fun additions like starfish, which I'm told will be sci-fi'd up a bit before release. Space starfish, coming at ya. It's also important to note that a placement pass is still pending, so none of this should be quite as dense when you see it in Alpha 3.13. Fingers crossed. Looking a bit farther ahead, whiteboxing continues of several of the colonialism outpost buildings we've seen concepted over the last several months, using the idea of a small home as their starting point. You can see things like the standalone battery pack, the rooftop solar panels, and life support units. They've also begun to box out the small garage unit that can comfortably fit an Ursa rover, as well as a ladder up to the roof because we're always thinking about advanced traversal options, as well as some tests using the recently revealed terrain modification tool to see how the overall buildings work with the smoothing volumes. Internally, the team has also begun blocking out the social spaces, the brush extensions that connect each individual module, figuring out where they can hide the placement of viz areas and runtime probes so that they don't create visible seams for players to see, exploring the potential return of the conversation pit, because everything old becomes new again, hab units for players to decorate and store items.
Thank you, Yellow Dog, for the subscription.
Party in the bathroom. There's a seashells joke here, but I'm not going to make it. Outside, pre-production has begun on materials explorations and defining exactly how these structures are constructed in the lore of our universe, from the foundation stones at the bottom and up through the various paint layers, to exploring new types of hard surfaces for the interior edge wear effects, which are designed to remove sharp corners from every surface. It's a very different kind of building for Star Citizen, so the team is having a lot of fun exploring a more organic looking structure all around. Teams have also begun the white box blockout for 2 new hospitals beginning their journeys into the persistent universe, including this look at the new Babbage Hospital, soon to be found beneath the Aspire Grand with new Bab's trademark skylight looking out to the skyline above it, as well as a pharmacy where you can stack up on med pens, and eventually an ambulance drop-off point, which, given the way I play, I expect to use more often than not. Also in White Box Blockout is Orizon's Hospital, which won't be a part of its original release, but is expected in a subsequent drop later this year. Finally, a special treat from some of our team members in our new Montreal studio, a look at initial blockout progress for a new Javelin derelict being used as an onboarding test bed for artists and designers alike. Now, this was a fun warm-up task that allowed folks to learn the various ins and outs of our game engine, our workflow, and overall general process.
Yeah, black intellect.
Now, this was a fun warm-up task that allowed our new team members to learn the various ins and outs of our game engine, our workflow, and our overall development process. And it's delightful to see one of Star Citizen's earliest planet-side points of interest potentially evolve into so much more. Now, while this was originally just a test, it has inspired everyone that's seen it to explore this idea further later this year. So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that with staggers and mounted weapons and push-pull trolleys, oh my, the actor feature team continues to delight each and every patch. That there's always room for new harvestables. The hospitals signal the next major step forward in the life and death struggles of Star Citizens in the persistent universe, and that there's no reason a crashed spaceship can't be just as awesome as a fully intact one. Don't forget to check out the return of Calling All Devs tomorrow with Richard Tyrer and more actor feature team goodness. And for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
No, I can hear what they're going to be saying on Reddit now. They're going to be saying, "Why are they training people to make the game instead of just making the game?"
True. I can see it. I can see it. But I actually thought that piece was cool.
Go ahead.
Because here's the thing, guys. Let me get this in, and then I want to hear the fellas' thoughts. But when you can, I've always said that the better infrastructure that CIG can create, the faster the game will move, right? So it might seem to maybe the average gamer or someone who's just watching development loosely that you hire a team and you want them to get to work on the project, right? But they need to learn the tools that makes the project what it is. And so when you can create an environment like a derelict javelin, and you can introduce the aspects of development, artists and design and all this other kind of thing that I really don't know a lot about. But I do know that.
All right, sorry, real quick. Go. Why can't they just hire people to know what they're doing in the first place? Why do you have to?
Because here's the thing: CIG has created its own tools, right? Like most of the stuff is in-house, right? They're developing engines and things like that. You got to bring people up to speed. You have to hire people for an understanding of what it takes to do the work, but then you have to learn how the company does the work, right? And so this I think it's a fantastic idea. I think that once you get them up to speed and they learn how CIG works, they're going to be full steam ahead. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that particular piece?
Yeah, I love when I say some nonsense and it turns into a real discussion. Go ahead, face to face. What do you think of what we just saw?
Actually, well, like I said earlier about the javelin wreck, this was one of the things that that was discussed about. Will there be a mission there, or something like that? Just theory crafting. What is this purpose other than sightseeing? We also saw that, like, he did speak on it having NPCs there. So will there be a shop there? Will there be an outpost there? What kind of interaction will there be other than it just being something to go see, like the javelin that's in the game now? As far as that's concerned, but also I also was now this on the screen, the habitat. I was thinking, my mind always thinks like, okay, man, this stuff is cool, but how is this stuff? Are they going to implement sabotage in the game? Can somebody come and sabotage my power supply to my hab? How will that work? Also I saw the degradation of the habitats outside. Now, do I have to hire a crew to come out and spackle my walls? You know what I mean? How do these things work? They look cool, but how do you repair them? How do these mechanics are they going, all the way to that point where, it's going to be real life in space, with all of the elements that we have, or something like that, just things like that kind of, go through my mind when I see these things.
Next week on Inside Star Citizen, you can be a space drywall guy.
Exactly.
Gotta be,
there you go.
That'll be a real profession coming real soon, TM.
Listen, if I had to do anything like that, I would want to work on the high rises at the main cities being a window washer. That's money. Like, that's how I would build my fortune.
I would be afraid of falling through whatever the platform that I'm on, and just going, ooh, yeah. If one bad desync is all it takes.
That's it.
No, but so some of the things I like in the last part, I saw the garage for a tank. That garage, I'll probably be using that garage a lot because I have a bunch of vehicles. The edgeware, I thought that looked cool. The blending and everything. And they had the New Babbage Hospital, and of course they had to include an Origin Hospital. I wonder which one cost more.
The Origin, clearly, and is that New Babbage? Obviously, if you want premium healthcare, you want to be taken care of, FC, when you die, sure, you can jump into Cutlass Red and hope that you make it to the hospital, right? But if you by some chance do get there and some whack job has done whatever he's going to do with you inside of a Drake hull, that just slapped a red on, red paint on the outside in a makeshift medical bed. You want to make sure you get the best coverage when it comes time, which is why you want to go to Origin Hospital, and you want to have coverage from Origin as well. You just have to do everything Origin. It doesn't make sense.
Well, see, this is one of the reasons why I invested in. Well, my dad actually invested in an Endeavor, so we don't have to worry about that.
There you go. There you go. So Gomab, what did you think of the latter half of ISC?
Well, that's 6 months or however long of training that the Montreal team went. They weren't learning how to do the work. They were learning how to please Chris, right? Because he's very particular as to the things that go in the game. So he's going to walk in and say, "Hey, this ain't right," and fire everybody. So they had to make sure that they was on point. But to that being said, I could see these derelicts being literally littering all sorts of planets and moons and becoming significant points of interest throughout the game. Mission hubs or trading posts, right, where you can sell or buy particular goods in the game. So I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to Kimmy, but Lucky, what do you think?
Well, I'm really disappointed because they didn't include, Maria Pure of Heart from Lorville. Right? It's been just about as long as ArcCorp. Yep. I mean, technically.
Yeah, just to step in on that, guys, it's the medical profession in general. They're going to introduce it at all of them. I guarantee you that.
I hope
Hurston, so. Yeah, they're all three of them are going to get kicked in because, and you guys will kind of see they're speeding up that whole wheel toward medical. So we can pretty much assume. I think it's just because they were dealing with Orson opening up that they're letting us know there's going to be a hospital there too. But I guarantee you, it's going to be at all places just because of the way they told us they want to implement Death of a Spaceman. So I wouldn't worry that it's going to be left out.
All right, Kimmy, what do you think? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Lucky, were you done first? My bad.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Kimmy. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you guys are good. I'm just going to continue to echo on what Tenth said because his statements had so many layers to them. He touched on several things, but under those layers, the fact that you're seeing the future of gaming development, because you look at Star Citizen and you compare that with the current state of gaming development, and the only way that they can match or try to achieve what Star Citizen is currently doing is to create these tools inside the software. So as we were shocked to see the level of how quickly they were adapting to building these assets in game, it just shows you that the development tools within software is so key, it's so important to getting your stamp on these type of gameplay loops. And the fact that with that new team, just recently within the months of just putting it together and them coming up with an area that's like, wow, it opens up the creativity aspect as well once you have those tools there. So you're not just learning the game and grinding through, you're now just using those tools with some of the experience that you have, and then you're adding to that creative narrative of the game and bringing in new ideas and new blood flow of what good gaming can be all about. So he really alluded to let us know that on the forefront, what SIG is doing is great, but in order for the gaming industry to keep up and to have pace with what Star Citizen is doing, he narrated that it's about those tools within the software. So that's some good stuff.
Well, what do you guys think of the other stuff, like the garage, the edgeware? Any comments about that? The other stuff you saw?
Let me tell you, FC. Here's the only gripe I had with the garages. Okay. Why park a rover in there? I mean, there's other vehicles, aren't there? Like FC. Aren't there other vehicles in the universe? namely, like I don't know, Griff, like a G12.
I knew
right?
it.
Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, guys?
Why do we let him? Why do we let him on the show?
Just why? I got one too.
Okay, I'm going to ask a noob question. What is a G12?
The best vehicle you can buy in the game.
Oh my god.
Oh, it is.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. I bet it's an origin. Basically, wait, hold on for a second. He said it's the best game, it's the best vehicle you can buy in the game. So when I go to the kiosk and I look up the best vehicle you can buy in this game, that's what's going to bring up, right?
At the very top.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And if you don't see it, just ask behind the desk. Tell them 10th sent you. It'll be fine.
So the guy at New Deal is definitely going to go into the back and bring me out the keys when I say, "Hey, listen, 10th sent me." He said, "Listen, I want to get the best car in this game."
Listen, there's no way for you to access it without a name dropping.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. Like,
Really?
just go up there and tell them you know me. Tell me you know Griff, right? Like you can do it. It's fine. I mean,
okay.
I have a question for you. Does this mean I'll be able to use your UEC to buy this stuff too?
No. You just tell them you know me.
No.
Right?
So
just tell them
really
you know me.
Oh wow, you got the juice.
And then they'll take care of you.
Right this way, sir. Right this way.
Right this way, sir.
Yeah,
that's how it usually ends. Right this way, sir. Listen, so I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, guys, am I wrong? Like, is there not a G12 in the game?
I'm sorry, I asked the question, fellas. My bad. But I had to know.
I've been doing it all night. Because I've been expecting Tent to give like these 10-second jokes, but no, he goes on and on for like 2 minutes. I'm like, dang, Tent, how much you gonna pimp the origin for, man?
I'm just curious. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Y'all producer about to jump in and tell y'all 45 minutes into a 10-minute segment. So can we please move on?
All right, let's go to the next one, the next video.
And please invite people to come in.
Yes, and also, please come in. We got these, I don't want to use a name calling or anything, but we have these delightful people in, but we can use some more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Calling All Devs, our semi-monthly series where we take questions from you, the Star Citizen community, and pose them directly to our developers. On today's show, we have core gameplay director Richard Tyrer, and we are going to be talking all things the road to true physical inventory. So, with Rich Tyrer, we know better than to do a long intro, so I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to turn it over to Richard. Richard, what is the road to true physical inventory? The floor is yours.
So we've had a lot of conversations. We've had a lot of segments about inventory over the last probably couple of years. And I think inventory can be broken down into very different categories that we're discussing. So physical inventory is the goal. That's where every patch that we change towards and we're working towards. But obviously Star Citizen's a big game, right? There's ships, there's characters, there's landing zones, there's locations, there's hubs, there's hangars. And we have to make sure that all of those pieces talk to each other and create that experience that we're aiming towards. So right now, what we have in game, I think that's probably the best starting point. So right now, what we have is we have personal inventory, but it's a limited personal inventory. It's an inventory that you can open up your backpack, you can see the items in there, but those items are limited to a very subset of items such as commodities, so FPS minables, and the food and drink items. So for example, water, Whammer's bars kind of thing, and all of that kind of thing. So anything that you can interact with in the world that is food and drink related or minables, you can then put them in your backpack and you're golden. But as soon as you get to something like a pistol or an ammo magazine or a flare, then you can't put that in your backpack. So that's a current limitation, and that's a limitation based on our current infrastructure of technology that covers the saving of it, the persistent items to the back end. So in terms of what we're aiming towards next is we're aiming towards upgrading that system and making it more flexible so that, you know, I have found a combat knife, I have found a pistol, I want to take my helmet off and put it in my backpack. So you should be able to do that. The other inventory that we're talking about, we have, so that's what you classify as like personal inventory. Then we have what's classified as what I term as external inventory. Now, external inventory has a physical location in the world, like your backpack, or like the interaction point on the back of the Grin Rock, where you can go up to it, you can interact with it in the world like a physical light switch or something like that, and it triggers an interface. And that interface is the same interface that you use for your personal inventory. So you'll have the personal inventory on one side of the screen, and then you'll have the external inventory on the other side of the screen. And that external inventory could in the future be a crate, it could be anything, but you're not actually dealing with the individual items on a physical level. You're dealing with a storage container that has those items on the inside. And then when you have this interface, you can then drag and drop the items between them. So you can go, I'm going to put my bottle of water and my gun into that external storage space and store the thing. So that's what we classify as external inventory. Now, the next leap in terms of the next level of inventory is what we're classifying as the true physical inventory. So that is where you'd have a locker or a weapon rack, and you'd actually see the physical item stored on that particular compartment. So if it was a locker, you'd open the locker and you'd actually see, your undersuit or your clothes or your armor. And if it's a weapon, right, you'd see the weapon, and you're physically dealing with those items in the world. So unlike external storage, where you're not dealing with the physical items in the world, these are the things where you are dealing with the physical items in the world. Now, clearly, that's where we want to go in terms of that full physical inventory. But before we get there, what we want to try and do is, what's the next step? So, it's like, what's the next kind of like pit stop on the road to full physical inventory, where everything in the world is fully physicalized and local to that, to you. And that's the key word there. So the next step is what we call local inventory. So local inventory is a temporary solution on the personal level. So in terms of, I'm not talking ships and ship weapons and ship components. I'm talking like the actor and their armor and all of the items that they want to carry with them, and all of the food and drink items and grenades and so on and so forth. And local inventory is going to be a kind of temporary solution for that physicalized area for hubs and for hangars. So in full physical inventory, the idea is that you'll be in a landing zone and you'll have a habitat that, a room that you can go and store things in. You'll have a hangar, because you get a hangar every time you buy a ship, and you'll be able to store things in there and have a big shipping container and put all your gear in it. And you'll have a ship and you'll put all your stuff in your ship. But clearly you won't want to put every single thing that you own in the ship, because if you're out in Pyro or you're out in deep space and that ship blows up, then you've lost all your gear. You've lost all the stuff. Now, your ship might be insured and the components on the ship might be insured, but the items, the small items inside there, won't be insured. And that's something that we'll need to, you won't want to carry everything with you all the time. You're not like a moving pack rat. So that's why you'll want these areas where you want to store things and keep them safe. So that might be in the future, might be a homestead. So you have a homestead, this is your headquarters, or it's a hangar, or it's a hab. And this is where you're storing your physical goods. And those physical goods stay there and are safe and can't be destroyed or taken. Obviously in homesteads, there's opportunity there for PvP raiding and all that, but I'm not going to go down that road. That's a fully different type of feature. But in terms of inventory, that's where we have this kind of local inventory. So what is local inventory? Local inventory is going to be a local inventory for the area that you're in, but it's not physically represented. Now, that doesn't mean it's infinite. It's still limited in terms of what you can put in it, but it'll be localized to, say, a landing zone, or localized to a ship. So a large ship would be able to fit more things in than a small ship, and a landing zone would be able to fit in probably the most amount of things, because that's equivalent to like your hangar where you're storing all of your gear. So the next step that we want to go towards is kind of allowing personal inventory for you to be able to store items in, so that you can actually have that gameplay loop of, what am I going to take with me? I can actually open a bottle of water and drink it, and then, God forbid, put the lid back on and store it and keep it, and you don't have to drink it all in one go. And that will allow that kind of gameplay loop of what you can take with you, and then that'll extend it to the local inventory in terms of you being able to go, okay, right, what stuff do I want to take with me on my ship? What stuff do I want to store at this landing zone versus another landing zone? What stuff do I want over here? And then all of a sudden, we've implemented the loop, the gameplay loop of physical inventory without truly implementing the requirements of physical inventory. So obviously this is the next step that we want to go in terms of pushing that, because then you'll have the decisions where you're saying, okay, what stuff do I want to put in my ship from my local inventory, from my landing zone inventory, and what things do I want to then take out with me when I go cave diving or into that bunker mission? And you're having to cover that gameplay loop. We're still missing the physical element of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't take those things out of that space and then physically interact with them in the world. You can do that because you can already do that right now. Right. But it's about them persisting and staying there and being part of your gameplay account every time you log in and log out.
Did I leave my 50 picos in Lorville, or did I leave my 50 picos in Area 18, or did I leave my 50 picos on my Carrack?
Well, actually, that's a good suggestion what you said there, because that leads on to the next thing in terms of we don't just want to be in a position where you're managing all of this stuff and you don't have access to the tools to manage it. Or tools to manage it is probably the wrong word. The tools to have an overview of it. Right. Plus, we want you to be able to have a quick way of being able to interact with these things. So first off, if I look at the overview situation, the next step will also include something what we're calling the Asset Manager app. So if you think about the mobiGlas itself right now, we have the PMA and we have the VMA. The VMA, in terms of a logical sense, kind of makes sense. You're sending out requirements to, say, AI or NPCs or mechanics in the real world to say, hey, can you change out my guns, or can you change out this component, and you're managing. And that kind of makes logical sense. PMA doesn't really make logical sense in terms of the position it's in the mobiGlas. That really makes sense that it should be in the inner thought, because I don't need to tell somebody else to put my slippers on, right, or to help me get dressed, or that's the gun I'm going to take, or I'm going to put this in my backpack. That's me, my character. That's my inner thought in terms of how I manipulate items in the world. So what we want to do is that we want to take that external inventory interface, which I talked about, to do personal inventory, which is currently like the boxes on the left-hand side of your screen, which is like your backpack. You've got your chest pockets, and then you've got your leg pockets. And on the right side, you have your external inventory. When you, obviously, if you just press I, open out in the bow, you just get your personal inventory. And then if you interact with in terms of the one that's live right now, in terms of the cargo Grinrock, the cargo grid, you'll interact with that, and then it'll bring up the external inventory. So what we want to be able to do is twofold for that screen. First is, if you're in an area that has a local inventory, such as a landing zone, if you open up your inventory either via the shortcut key I, or you access it through the inner thought wheel, that will bring up your personal inventory on the left hand side of the screen and the local inventory. And all of a sudden, then you can go, cool, I want to drag and drop these items, drag and drop this, and manipulate it. Then let's say, for example, you're in a ship. Same principle. I press I open it up. Now I have the ship inventory. But then you're like, well, actually, now my ship's in a landing zone. So I want to have access to my ship inventory, and I want to drag something from the ship inventory to my personal inventory, or something from my ship inventory to my local inventory. Now, in a physical inventory world, that's fine, because you have things ordered to locations, and then you're actually physically taking them and moving them to those locations. And we'll have future management apps where you can employ people to move things between hangars and so on and so forth. But for now, we want to be able to have like a tab-based system that when you open up your inventory interface, personal inventory here, external or local, or the ship inventory, and you'll be able to tab which side. So you might be able to have the ship inventory on one side and the local. And again, you can just drag and drop your items, move things between them. So you'll have a seamless way to manipulate between local inventory, personal inventory, and external inventories. Because in the scenario that we're talking about, let's say I've taken out a slaver, and I body drag that person back to my ship, and I then interact with their backpack, which is an external inventory. I now want to be able to drag something directly from the external inventory directly into my ship inventory. Now, let's say, for the example, that I've now flown to a landing zone. Now I have an external inventory inside the ship that's inside a landing zone. but I want to be able to drag something from the external inventory directly to my local inventory. And with this system, you'll be able to do that. And obviously, another wrinkle on top of that is that we'll have the character in the middle, and the character will be 3D, and it will be your character, and you'll be able to manipulate all these different inventories directly onto your character. And all of a sudden, now you're managing your loadout in this inventory system. So all of a sudden, we can then go, hey, PMA, you didn't really make sense because that's not really how it would work. VMA, sure. Now, and we do want to kind of tweak VMA long term in terms of how that and deprecate it from something that makes more sense. But PMA never really made sense. So that would go. Your access to like this infinite bag of holding would disappear, and all of a sudden you'd have the gameplay loop of what physical inventory will eventually be, or 90% of that gameplay loop, shall we say. Right. So you're having to manage the local, personal, and external inventories between all of your different ships and locations. And clearly this kind of system is what we want to put in place for then, that's a good step forward, which will be underpinned by, the technology of what we're talking about in terms of iCache, or a segment of iCache that will underpin this in terms of being able to store items and for those items to persist. But this will give us a really good leap towards like making the next step in terms of, okay, now we need to add physical hubs and physical hangars because we need physical locations for you to store these things. We already have lockers, but we're always going to have external storage. So if you look at the three things that we've talked about, where you've got personal, then you've got local, and you've got external. External and personal inventories are how we want it to be. We always want to have those. Now we want physical as well, so that in some ships you might have an overhead locker where you're just interacting with a space that's larger than you can actually physically see, and you can utilize the interface to manipulate that. But vice versa, you can go to a locker or a weapon rack and interact with those physically. But we're also going to offer you the ability to actually go, okay, I look at that helmet, I interact with it, it automatically takes it out, puts it on, and then I go, actually, I just want to put this whole suit on. So I'm just going to right click and go open external inventory interface, and it will bring up the external inventory. Now I can just drag them from that locker directly onto my character and then put them on. So we have an interface-based system, but also a physical-based system. And this is all underpinned by the physicality of all these items being in the world. These external inventories, like we did with the Grinrock, they're not going to be magic bag of holdings. They are going to be physical to the volume that you can actually put in. Like, for example, your backpack. A good example I took about the backpack in terms of how we limit it is, you'll always be limited by the amount of weight you can carry, and weight is something that we're starting to push more and more. Tractor beam was the first example of that. When we go forward, eventually you won't be able to carry everything that is, just the 50 by 50 box, which is what you can carry. So weight will always be a limitation in inventory. Item dimensions is also a limitation, and the volume capacity. So a snooker cue is always a good example, because if I put a snooker cue through a wood chipper, I could put all of those wood chips into my backpack from a volume perspective, and I'd be great. But if in the orientation of the snooker cue, I can't put the snooker cue in my backpack. So all of a sudden we've got those measurements of, that external inventory still has to be physically correct, even though I'm not dealing with the physical items. So everything is still underpinned and working towards physical inventory, but we have these steps that we want to go towards to get there. So it's essentially, in summary, in terms of what's the next step is personal, external, local, item-based for the character, so that you have that premise, so that when you die in a cave or on a planet or somewhere else, then those items will be left there. You're gonna have to go back. And
thank you for the raid.
And then
welcome everyone. You're watching Calling Out Dead from today.
And that's kind of the road to personal inventory. That is the next step. And the one thing that you touched on in terms of where is my item in this location and where is my item in this location, that's essentially what we're talking about. It's called the Asset Manager app. So the Asset Manager app is where you'd be able to open up in your mobile glass and go, where are all my items? So you'll have an overview, which is what I was talking about before, in terms of an overview of all your items. So you'll be able to know, like, okay, that's in Area 18, that's in Grimhex, that's in my Carrack, that's in my, M50. And all ships going forward will have some form of external storage and physical storage. So you can see there's a lot to kind of underpin. We've come at this a holistic point of view to make sure that we're covering all the different bases, and there will be a transition period where we kind of deprecate the local inventory to turn on physical inventory. But if we just waited for true physical inventory, we'd be much further out, because it's not just the underpinning of the persistency technology. It's also about the content and the hangars and the physical hubs and all of those locations, and they need lockers and they need to work, and that's a huge amount of work from multiple different teams. But we want to get that gameplay loop live as soon as possible so that people can start experiencing the game that we're trying to make. So that's what we want to go forward next. This is a good interim step, and then the next step would be the moving forward of that in terms of the true physical inventory.
I love making videos with Richard Tyrer because I just sit back and I just go. I pondered just sliding out of frame. Richard, that's it. Thank you so much. As always, inventory is. It seems like on a surface it seems like such a mundane kind of topic, but really it underpins so much of the Star Citizen experience that we are working to build in the future. So I mean
100%. I mean that's why I like to give people the understanding of our intentions of what we're trying to achieve, because it's easy for me to just go, yeah, this is what you're going to get, local inventory, it works like this, you open it up in the local area, it's limited to that, job done. But it's about I think our community deserve more. They deserve, well, why are we doing this? What is our intentions? We've been told physical inventory. Why are you putting this random local inventory in? And it's about explaining the reasoning, the understandings, where we're trying to achieve, to validate that gameplay, and then to bring all the other teams along with us. So it's
that's why we get
a long journey.
That's why we get along. Follow-up question though: as a child, are you like this because your parents didn't get you a suitcase, or because they got you too many suitcases?
To be honest, for me, I like RPGs, and if you play every RPG, I remember playing Skyrim, and it's like you go into the first dungeon, and you're like, oh, I do need a load of money, and then it's like, okay, 5 trips later, back and forth to the town, and you're like, I'm collecting all that dwarven gold. It's a gameplay loop in and of itself, so it's definitely lots to achieve.
All right. I'll let you go. Thank you so much, Rich. Folks, this has been Calling All Devs, starring Rich Tyrer, also appearing Jared Huckabee. We'll see you next time, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Featuring Jared.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm going to do the impersonation. Yeah, I understand some of these words. All right, let's start with Lucky. What'd you think of what we just saw?
Well, it was very, very, very in depth, and that's kind of cool in one aspect. But the way they do these videos, like each week, I mean, they like start off with one question, next thing you know, you're down a rabbit hole.
Right.
It's like they don't know where to stop the questions, and it's kind of aggravating. It's like, okay, what direction would you like to go with the information that you are seeking, and then you can like separate the questions in that way. But they're like, okay, now we're going down this hole, hang on, and then the next thing you know, it's 20 minutes later and you're like on the first question.
Right. You have that impression too, Gomab?
I mean, I think his just watching that is kind of like a metaphor for the game development, right? One little thing can just spiral into so much more really, really fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How about you, Face to Face?
Yeah. I pretty much lost my train of thought when I was listening to him. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, he said, I was like, yeah, he said, then he said, it's like, oh, okay, so where we at? So where we at? Okay. And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, I do agree. I mean, I like how he's got a whole bunch of in-depthness, but like you know, like that Dave Chappelle skit. You got to have that wrap it up button. You know what I mean? I mean, you know. I'm gonna be honest.
Somebody should hit him with the exhibit. Yo, dog, I heard you like inventory, so we put inventory in your inventory, so that you can have inventory while you inventorying.
Inventory inception.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to shake the cobwebs out my head. I'm like, man, okay,
yeah,
you know.
I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Dude, I love it when Jared lost it when he brought it wood chipper. Like, how did this have to do it in?
Before you jump to Kemi, real quick, it's funny because, you know, my dad mentioned it to me earlier when we were playing the game and about this, and he said, man, you know, they were talking about inventory, and the guy, man, he went like, yeah, I forget how my dad described it, and he was not lying. I was like, man, he went in depth.
Oh yeah,
really.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Kemi?
Yeah, like the guys mentioned, you gotta go back and do this a number of times and glean, stop it, listen to it again. But it tells you for him to be able to speak on this in this level, on this in depth like this out to us, it lets you know that Chris is on board with this. It's going to take a lot of resources, engineering to make that all happen. But then he sold Chris on it, but then he has to present it to us as actual gameplay. And I kind of feel there's going to be some pushback if things don't work according to how he has the concept. So it's got to be seamless. It got to make sense because be prepared. It's going to be some appropriate pushback on how he's talking about these items and how they are going to transform in different ways. When you have these items, they become something else into something else into something else, like some kind of hierarchy or chain of how they're collected and how they're supposed to be. So he sold Chris on it because he couldn't obviously just say this as a thought. So the engineer it's gonna require a lot of engineering. So at the time we've seen this, they're probably well on their way. But you're going to start seeing the first iterations. But I expect some pushback from the community when it comes to actually how it plays in game. So that's all I got.
Yeah. If I could jump in though, real quick, is that
go ahead.
I will say, being that he did go so much in depth and kind of going off of what Kimmy said of him selling it to Chris, I will say that at least there's a care there to go that far in depth in there. Obviously things will, you know, get cut back and shaved off, you know, as gameplay goes on and be tested, because, you know, feedback will come back. Well, listen, you know, this is hindering gameplay, you know, to be able to do this, to do that. Can we streamline this?
Yeah.
Streamline this better, you know, because one thing about gamers, if you lose their attention, they're gone, you know, and it's very hard to get our attention back, you know.
Don't take the fun away.
Exactly. That's the overall thing.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, you know, I thought it was interesting the amount of detail that Rich was going into, obviously about the inventory piece. But what was apparent was that when you can see that CIG is always, kind of like what Kimmy was saying, is always trying to push it to the point of what they think a simulation inside of the universe looks like and bring it right up to the edge of like what's fun and what's realistic. And I think that in order for them, that there are some concessions that they're making, obviously, to get this loop started with the whole inventory system. But what you will find is that they'll continue, it'll be an iterative process, and that what we'll experience when we do get this first kind of loop of it is an understanding of how they want you to view inventory. I think someone mentioned in the chat that, or maybe Rich did it himself, was that, you know, we don't want to have players kind of hoard things, right? We want you to be strategic in the way that where you place stuff, whether it's at your homestead or a hangar or different places around the verse, your ship. When you find somebody or find like loot in the world, like how do you deal with it? It would be similar to some of the considerations that you will also make, you would make in a simulation or in a real environment. And so we've already been introduced to this with the food and drink deal. Just in a lot of people were originally apprehensive of that, and I think you might get a little bit of pushback on.
It'll be a survival game.
Right, exactly, right. People saying all that kind of thing, but then it'll just fold into what the fabric is of the game that CIG is building, and I think it'll again, they'll polish it up, they'll make it work, and I think it'll be very useful. So cool to hear. A lot of detail from Rich here, but if you kind of just look at it as an overview, you're thinking, okay, well, we're moving to a place where we have inventory. There's going to be ways to handle our inventory, and the way they're implementing it is going to be in a way that's fitting for the environment, which I think is cool.
Can I jump in for a sec?
Yeah.
I think the what he shared is not something that we haven't seen in other games before. We've seen inventories before. We've seen external inventories. We've seen local inventories. I think the difficulty for Star Citizen is going to be the fact that they're using physicalized items and tracking that. That is the big difference. I used to play a game. Some of you guys have played a game like 7 Days to Die, where you literally you create containers, crates, put things in them. You guys are playing. A lot of you guys are playing Valheim right now. You build these chests, you put things in them. No big deal. That's easy. But when they're physicalized items, that changes the dynamic completely. Think about, and Kimmy and I were talking about this earlier today. Think about if you've got 5 ships, and each one of your ships has, you've upgraded all your components, you've upgraded your weapons. Not only that, you have your arms on there, such as your rifles and pistols that you keep. You have not just one spacesuit, but maybe you have 3 or 4. Maybe you have a cold weather one. Maybe you have a hot weather one. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 other armor ones. All those things are being tracked on that ship. Now multiply that exponentially on other ships that you have. Then multiply what you have if you decide to rent an apartment, or whether you have one of the habitats on a moon. All of those items are physicalized and maintained. And so where we're going to go, as they were mentioning earlier, moving from that magic bag of holding, where right now you can carry 50 rifles and 50 pistols and all the ammo you want, changing that dynamic and then introducing things like weight and other dynamics are tremendously changing the technology of what an inventory system is like. And I don't know any other game, very few. I know when I've played, I can't think of the other, Scum.
Skyrim.
Scum.
Black
Scum,
Desert.
Scum and Black Desert. Yes, they have these kind of very intense inventory systems to them. But this is a little bit different because in those places, the locations remain static and in one place. In Star Citizen, systems are moving, moons are moving, planets are moving, all these things are going, all this tracking has to take place, not to mention exponentially how many players are all doing this at one time. So this kind of leads into why iCache is important and other things. I appreciate the fact that it was well thought out, but he could have said it all in probably 6 minutes instead of 20 minutes. All he had to say was you've got a personal inventory, you've got a storage, an external, and a local. We're at a location, and we would have got it because most of us understand that because that's in a lot of MMOs already. But when you start stacking it on how big Star Citizen is, and especially with physicalized items, when he talks about not only can you just look at something in a shell, like all you guys have gone on your ships and stuff, you see those lockers and doors in your habs, all that stuff's going to work. So whether you decide to use the inventory panel to move something, or whether you actually decide to physically reach up there and grab it and put it on, those are the type of things that are going to be changing that aren't in a lot of other games.
Griffin, I know a guy who can put all that and get into 2 or 3 minutes. Go ahead, Kimmy.
You make a good point, Griff. But I think what he was delivering was the development interpretation of it. If he would have kept it in the context of gameplay, because when he started shooting off the physical, the external, the local, all he had to do was say, oh, if you grab a gun, you take it with you, you go to this location, you use the weapons, or you change the cartridges out, you grab an item, you take it back with you, you put it on your ship, it will be there. If you lose your ship, it's gone. Physically, it's gone. Then you have to go back to your hab or your homestead, grab this item. But yeah, when you have these certain items at your homestead, they'll last, they'll sustain. If you wear items down and they go away, it's physical, so it's gone. But if he kept it in the context of basically, I'm just trying to make a point of, if he kept it in the gameplay loops, then people would say, oh, I can take my inventory, do this with it. This is what happens if I do that, if that outcome happens. Not keeping it in these zones of physical, external, because then we're up with an alert to say, wait a minute, what does that mean? What does it mean? What can I and cannot do in gameplay? He's spouting off as though we're sitting next to him at his desk, and that's his development plan.
But I don't want to beat up on him. Right. I don't want to beat up him as a developer, because here's the other side of the coin. To your point, Kimmy, these guys are developers, right? They're not designed to be public speakers necessarily. They're sharing with us in their communication how they talk. And some people are much more, they're much more accessible, when they're explaining stuff in the game. Some people are very technical when they're like, Tony is one of those people. When you listen to Tony, you got to listen to Tony several times. You can get it, but he's giving you so much information that you have to really sit there and take him in a couple times to catch things. I was fine with this guy. Don't get me wrong. I thought he was very detailed, but again, we all understand that concept, at least gamers. You know what I mean? Gamers understand that concept of inventory. And I think it's just the fact that understanding the dynamic of how big it is in Star Citizen would help the players a little bit more. That's all. But I enjoyed it personally.
Yeah, I'm not knocking them. I'm just speaking objectively of people who play the game and they want the gameplay aspect.
Right.
And he's delivering that from a dev's point of view. And they're like, well, what does that got to do with my rifle firing off? Can I take it with me? And with it.
There you go. Yep.
Do you want to say something more? Okay, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, before we get to our machinima, I just want to say thank you to Uminut for the raid. And if anyone wants to come and join us, we have a full house, but we had more room. If anyone wants to come and join us, just click the link in Discord. Hey, everything, Greg. And also, we're having an anniversary special on March 7th. So, all the ladies, and anyone in general, give us a follow. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers by March 7th. We're giving away either a Bounty Measurement or a
Endeavor.
A base bottle Endeavor. Not the master class, but the base bottle.
Base bottle.
Gotta specify. So, yeah, that's on March 7th, 8 p.m. That's in, what, a week? 2 weeks? 2 weeks. No, a week? I don't know. It's soon. Yeah, it's soon. So, yeah. So yeah, give us a follow, and I should have warned you guys to grab a drink and get some food, because this is it's a medium-sized machinima, but I hope you guys enjoy it.
This is it. When he arrives at the ambush site, we'll swarm a ship and take him out.
But Wolf, what if he doesn't show up? What if he's bringing friends?
Are you kidding me? I'm in deep with the guild. I have access to all the bounties and the hunters working them. He's on his way right now, and he's alone.
Can't you just take care of Creighton like you've done with bounties before?
Not since my promotion. I don't collect bounties anymore. I manage them.
Listen, we have to do this the old-fashioned way. We need to kill this hunter, and then we can meet up with a larger group to storm Korea and clear my name.
The plan to wipe Creighton from the system is already in the works. We just need to kill this hunter. Goliath and his raiders are waiting for us to assault Korea.
We don't want to keep Goliath waiting. The Syndicate sure is bending over backwards for you, Creighton.
When you become the Syndicate's best pilot, you can enjoy some of the perks as well, Tessius.
Alright, if there's nothing else, let's get to our ships. guys. Lawyer ship's energy signature so he doesn't detect us.
Weapons deactivated. Ship systems deactivated. Activating distress beacon. It's only a matter of time.
Get ready.
Contact. It's him.
After him.
You guys will make quick work of that Avenger. I can see you closing in on him.
He's just flying in a straight line. What do you think he's doing?
It looks like he doesn't want to fight.
Wait a second. My ship! It's fried! Get back here!
It was a decoy. Get back to Cray, now.
Looks like I'm between you and your gun rack. I'm willing to take you in alive for the extra credits, but I don't mind killing you for the inconvenience your friends have already caused me.
Looks like it's not that nice a ship.
I don't think we're watching the same video.
We can't catch a hawk. They're too fast.
Oh, I can't believe we let him get away. Damn it.
Oh, it's Mind Flayer, not Mind Flayer. I would think of D&D.
Well done, Casas. Meet me at Hurston Dynamics. We've got to debrief.
Now arriving from Leavesden Station. Stand by and let passengers disembark before boarding.
Hey, Cole.
Casas Aurelian, the man of the hour. You just grabbed your first big ticket bounty, my friend. How does it feel to move up to the big leagues?
Having you assigned to find me big jobs is a real step up, Golden. I'm glad my days will no longer be spent sitting in my Avenger waiting for the hot sheet to update.
The guild saw your worth, and today you proved their judgment was correct. Let's debrief what happened.
Okay, on my way to intercept, I identified a system-wide distress call from my target.
A pirate in distress.
I decided to take extra precautions, so I stopped by Thundering Express Station to grab my Avenger. I quantum linked my ships and proceeded to the beacon. When I got in range, I aimed my Avenger towards the target's disabled ship, and I set cruise control.
What happened next?
Then I ejected. I got my hawk and I watched the Avenger fly past my target. Once it passed, 2 Hornets chased after it and started firing.
So the pirates were waiting in an ambush.
With the pirates chasing after my old Avenger, I activated my EMP and I flew to my target. My thought was he had artificially disabled his ship to be able to send the distress beacon. So after I hit him with the EMP, I was able to breach his vessel and he came willingly under the threat of death.
Casas, those pirates wouldn't have set a trap unless they knew you were coming.
Real
it's very privileged information to know if someone is assigned to a bounty. Even more so if the hunter is headed to intercept.
What? It's common for pirates to set ambushes.
Yes, but this isn't their MO.
And if you haven't followed,
pirates are after
looking for 1,000
no
followers
one
by
would be
March
responding
7th,
to a
giving
distress
away
beacon with a ship full of potential credits.
Endeavor,
and the asteroid belt over Yellow, not a common ship.
Or Vanishment. Sorry, not
They knew
both.
I was coming to get Creighton, and they tried to stop me.
Hit the follow button, please.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You don't have to worry about this. The guild will launch an inquiry into who leaked that information. The list of personnel with that level of access is small. They weren't counting on you surviving that attack and reporting it.
Can my next assignment be to go after that prick?
We'll handle it, Casas. What else would you be interested in?
What are the biggest bounties we have now?
Well, the biggest bounty, as you know, is Tony Alexander.
Yeah, the leader of the Yellow Syndicate.
That's the one.
So what information do we have on his whereabouts?
Nothing. No well-established hunter takes on this assignment, Cos. Alexander's bounty is the most cursed bounty in the Stanton system. Every hunter who has gone after him has died trying.
Alright, I'll put that on my long-term goals list.
You know, with how you handled that last bounty in ambush, I think I have the perfect assignment for you.
Let's hear it.
Our Corps is requesting help on Daymar. Miners are turning up dead, stripped of their hard-earned Hadanite ore. Local patrols are a deterrent, but they can't be out there babysitting miners all the time. Not with the pirate activity we have in this sector.
Sounds like something I can help out with.
I've submitted the contract offer to your Moby-Glass, with the typical information to aid you on your pursuit.
Thanks, Golden.
Welcome to the Arc Core Mining Area 141. Are you a new prospector looking to make it rich?
I I am. I'm looking for Hadenite specifically. Do I need to register with ArcCorp in order to mine here?
For Hadenite, you just need to sign a waiver. ArcCorp is after the bigger stuff. Have you ever mined before?
No, I've been working at Kasaba Outlet since I finished school.
Kasaba Outlet? What made you want to mine Hadenite ore?
A friend of mine made it rich mining for Hadenite. I just saved up enough money to get the gear I needed, quit my job, and now I'm here.
Well, you've come to the right place. At least you would have.
What do you mean? Is the Hadenite mined out in this area?
No, there's plenty of that, but lately someone has been preying on lone miners and taking their ore.
Isn't this area owned by ArcCorp? Shouldn't they be providing security here?
We'd see more security if they were attacking the mining ships. I've placed a bounty, but so far no hunters have shown up. Are you still considering getting out there and mining Hadenite? We have a few spots open for mine laser operators.
I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll take my chances. Let me sign that waiver. I'll head out in the morning.
If you need anything, just ask. Good luck out there. And my advice, don't stray too far from the camp.
Thanks for the follow, J-Boy.
Which one of these rocks is Hadenite? This rock's kind of purple. I think it's Hadenite. Man, that's a lot of ore.
Nice pullback.
If I don't get this bounty anytime soon, then at least I'll get rich off of this mining. That sounds like him. Where'd I put that railgun? way he survived that.
Famous last words.
Hey, Prospector. How was the haul yesterday?
I got plenty of what I was looking for. I took that bounty out last night.
You took who out?
That murderer. He attacked me in cold blood while I was mining.
Well, I'll be damned. I thought there was something different about you.
I'm the bounty hunter the guild assigned to your case. My job here is done.
Stop Outlet, huh? You typically go under some sort of cover like that?
Only when the job requires. That coward was going after easy targets. What easier target is there than someone who just got into the business?
That was risky, my friend. I'm glad you came out on top.
It always pays to make a plan. I dropped some tools of the trade for myself when I flew over the night I arrived.
That was good thinking. I wouldn't have thought of that. Thanks, Hunter. I'll be sure to let the guild know what a fine job you did here. Until we meet again.
Let's hope we never have to.
Trusty old Aurora. It looks like it's almost over, but if you want to join us for the chat, click on Discord and join us. Yep, the little box that could come in.
Tremendous job catching that murderer in no time at all. Now head back to Lorville for the debrief.
I'm on my way. Is there any word on the investigation?
There's no news on the investigation as of right now. We have other matters to discuss, something we can't talk about over unsecured comms.
That was a huge mistake, Wolf.
Oh, I know.
Crane was very valuable to us.
I'll fix this. I'll get the hunter's name and we can go from there.
Don't test my faith in you any further.
I did say grab some drink and grab some food before you start watching this. I just gotta say, the mining sequence was a little bit long. That's just me. What do you guys think? Started with Lucky. Lucky?
I'm sorry, I was listening to the Twitch stream and on there. What was the question?
What did you think of the machinima?
It's pretty good. I'm orging a few of the guys on the fist and such, and we've been dabbling in stuff too, just trying to pass the time.
Nice.
But yeah, anything that's Star Citizen related, I don't care how bad or how awesome it is. It just, I like the idea that somebody has thought of something in a way that most people haven't or wouldn't have thought of, and just seeing something that somebody's created, it's pretty awesome.
How about you, Goomba? I've seen the wrong name all night. Go Mab.
Just killing my name. Jeez.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
And then this is like the first.
At least I'm not calling you a host when you're actually a guest.
All right.
Don't beat it.
I think it was good, man. I think some of the scenes drug on a little bit longer, and some of the voice acting could have been a little bit less dry.
I'm forgiving of that, though.
But it was good. Like Lucky said, man. I just enjoy seeing content being created, them coming up with their own storylines and whatnot. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, I just got to address number one. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, we've been around for almost a year now. So our first anniversary is on Sunday, March 7th, in 2 weeks. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers before then, so give us a follow. And we're giving away either an Endeavor base model or the Banning Measurement. So, how about you, Face to Face?
I like it. I would have to echo Lucky again. It's good to see, guys out there, doing things in the game, to, keep themselves occupied and making content for the game. Definitely we can take some things from it now. It was cool. I like it.
Yeah.
How about you, Tent? Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm always interested in community made content, and I thought this was pretty good. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit on the, I guess maybe the longer side, but I can see what they're doing, and I'm kind of the mind that if you're having a good time doing it, it's going to be fun for you, which is the purpose of the game for the community, and you get to share that with others. So, yeah, hats off to those guys, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do something like that. So. Yeah, I was just appreciative of it being published. So, yeah, good little watch.
And Kemi?
Just love the passion that this community gives us day in, day out, and them alluding to what some of the gameplay loops could actually be in the game as far as how we interact socially as an org guild. So it's kind of funny to see that come across, and you could almost picture some of us, Bounty Hunters Guild, how they're actually communicating socially in the game. So I love it. I love it, and this brings a lot of people to the forefront or out of their shells. Otherwise, it'd just be someone just sitting at the desk. You don't know them. They're just, killing, shooting, repeat. But the passion of this game, it brings out so much creativity. I love it, man.
Yeah, I got to say, this machinima makes me want to sleep with my helmet on. Right? Yeah, I like it. It was a little bit long. I think it could have been a little bit shorter. Not a little bit. There's some scenes that went on, but I get what he was trying to do. I forgive the voice acting and the acting in general because they're not professionals. They're doing it for fun. So that's all cool to me. But yeah, I like it. And this was in May 2020, so this was like deep into pandemic time. So yeah, they probably had some time on their hand decided to put it together. I hope they make more of this because I'm guessing that this may be the first one, and they probably got experience to make better ones in the future.
Yeah, I think you say like part 1 or something like that.
Yeah. And again, that was Star Citizen Bounty Hunter Season 1, Episode 1, The Mind Slayer. So check that out. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for being here. We had Gomab, Face to Face, Lucky 13, and have our host, Griffin and Tent and Kimmy. And I see some other people like DD and everyone else in Twitch. Yeah, thanks for coming. And I want to thank the raid from the Shadowkin and Ubernerd. And thanks for the follows, everyone, and the subscription. And with that, we are going to raid. Let me scroll up to the message. We're going to raid Soil Poppy. So say how to put Soul Poppy for us. And with that, before I forget, don't forget we have our anniversary festival in 2 weeks, and we're having a Star Citizen on Sunday, the regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So with that, thanks for joining us. You have any last word for us, Tim?
Oh, just yeah. great time tonight, and yeah, check out the show this weekend. I heard it's going to be really good. And don't forget to join us on the 7th for our anniversary show. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, and pick up our merch.
Oh, yeah,
that's down below and link. All right, peace, love, and soul.
See y'all.